Welcome to Essential Style. Today I'm going to help you get the perfect fitting suit so that you look absolutely awesome when you wear it. Let's get right into it. Alright, so starting off with the jacket and starting off with some of the pieces that the tailor is not going to be able to alter for you. Number one, you want the shoulders to fit. Take a look at where the shoulder seam is on my shoulders. It is right where it needs to be. This one's right at that shoulder, that one's right at this shoulder, and when I stand right there, you don't see my shoulder poking out like crazy. You also don't see it drooping over my shoulder like that. So pretty simple to get it right. However, if you're finding a suit or a sport jacket in maybe, let's say, a thrift shop, or you have one used, if the shoulders of the jacket are too big or too small, there's not going to be a lot that you're going to be able to do in order to correct that. All right, and this next thing is going to be jacket length. What I want you to do is I want you to just stand normally. You don't have to stand ramrod straight. Make sure you're not slouching. Stand normally, stand up tall, stand up the way you would stand. Put your hands right down here. Now, I want you to cup your hands. If you can grab the jacket just like this, then you're pretty much good to go. You don't want to be able to, your fingers, the jacket's way too long where you can't cup your fingers around. You also don't want the ends of the jacket to be longer than the sleeves. That's going to look a bit too weird, a bit too trendy, and the trend, if that's a trend right now, I don't know, I don't really pay attention to trends, honestly. If that's a trend right now, the trend's going to die out in a couple of years. Not a timeless look. Your suit's not going to last as long because it's going to fall out of fashion. So you want to make sure that that jacket length is right here so that you can cup your hand. It's got to be pretty much between your thumb and here. So you do have a bit of a decent leeway right there. It doesn't have to be perfect, but anywhere right there, there you go. I can just cut mine. I'm good. This is what you want. Now, the next thing you want to get right is the lapel width. Now, a good rule of thumb for this is between this part, the jacket opening, and the shoulder, you want the lapel to land somewhere about halfway. So if I just go right here, about halfway, that looks pretty much just about halfway. So this lapel is the perfect width. On this side, it's also good as well. You could see, actually, let me go ahead and get a measuring tape. Got a measuring tape that just sits on my windowsill. Let's see, so we've got, let's just call that about 6 inches, right? And where's that lapel? Where's that lapel? Three inches, right? It's tough for me to see in the screen. But if we look at the lapel right here, we're right over 3 inches, but we're about 6 inches. So give or take, it's pretty much right there. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect. You can have a lapel that's slightly narrower or slightly larger, but you definitely want to avoid a lapel that is too narrow. That is going to look way too trendy. Rule of thumb, you want the lapel to be half the distance between the opening of the jacket and the shoulder seam of the jacket. All right, if you can get those 3 parts of the jacket nailed, then at that point you can pretty much have a tailor adjust anything else with relative ease. Moving on, sleeve length of the jacket. Notice how I have quite a bit of cuff poking out of the sleeve, maybe a little bit too much. But nonetheless, I'd rather show a bit too much cuff than no cuff at all. You always want the sleeve of your dress shirt to be poking out of your jacket. This is going to make the jacket appear that it fits you. The tailor can go ahead and shorten the sleeves, but there is a caveat to this. If you are a Suit Supply lover like me, Suit Supply has functioning buttonholes. You see how I have 3 buttons right here buttoned and the 4th one is unbuttoned. These are also kissing buttons as well. Not going to be as easy for a tailor or seamstress to just take the jacket in right there. Maybe they can do it by 1 inch or so. You only have a little bit. What the tailor's going to have to do with this particular jacket, if I wanted the sleeve shortened, was they'd have to break the jacket right here, shorten it from the shoulder, which could be a little bit more expensive of a repair. Can still do it, but again, you do want to get those sleeve lengths as close as possible. If you don't have functioning buttonholes, if you just have buttonholes that are just there, then you don't have to worry about that as much. I would also say stay away from the super slim sleeves because you want to be able to actually move in the jacket. You don't have to necessarily do all of this stuff or be able to do a handstand, even though I can do that in this jacket. That's not what it's designed to do, but if I had to drive in this jacket, it gets a bit tight, but it's not going to be much of a problem. If I was sitting down typing at an office job like this, like I used to, not going to be much of an issue. The jacket is snug, the sleeves are snug, but I still have free range of motion and I can still layer a sweater underneath it. Moving on to the way the jacket fits. Now you can see that this jacket is actually pretty slim around the waist. It also does build up my shoulders, making me appear more muscular, and this is what you want a suit to do, or a sport jacket as well. So with the jacket buttoned, pull it out a little bit, take 3 fingers. If you can fit it in there, I can fit 3 fingers, no problem at all. They actually tailored this jacket perfectly, but it is not pulling either. Anyone ever hear of that dreaded X? A dreaded X is basically when the jacket starts to go like that and starts to make a big X right there. You don't want that, so you don't want the jacket to be pulled too tight. Now, if you have a jacket that the shoulders fit properly and the lapel length is good and it's fitted, it is always okay to go a little bit bigger in the waist. You don't have to get as slim in the waist as you think you do to get that inverted triangle shape of big broad shoulders, slim narrow waist. So you just want to make sure that when you're standing there that the jacket is not pulling, you're not getting that dreaded X. Of course, if you start to go like this, it's going to start pulling in all sorts of weird directions, but jacket buttoned, standing straight. If this is you, then you're good. All right, now speaking of jackets, with a suit jacket, if you're actually wearing it with a tie all dressed up like I am, then you are going to want to wear it buttoned most of the time. But when you're sitting down, when you're driving, or even when you're walking, wearing it unbuttoned is totally okay as well. If anyone's ever watched the series Suits on Netflix, it's now on Netflix, I've watched almost the whole thing, pay attention to when they actually stand up and sit down. When they stand up, they button their jackets. When they sit down, they don't button their jackets, or they unbutton their jackets. Look at how the jacket now, just naturally, I get that dreaded X. It just looks all weird, and this also puts a lot of pressure. It just looks like it strains the jacket. So it's always better to just open the jacket. Look at how much better and more natural that looks if you're sitting down at a table. And then again, when you're standing up, just button it and you're good to go. Now, if you are going to go without a tie wearing a suit, you can totally do that. It's totally okay. I would consider wearing the jacket opened a little bit more than buttoned up, just because it doesn't look quite complete if you wear it buttoned up with no tie. But that's a different topic for a different video. We'll talk about that in the future. We're going to move on to the pants. And I've got to be honest, I did lose about a good 15 pounds since I got this suit. By the way, I did get this suit for my wedding. This was the date that my wife and I tied the knot. So I was about 15 pounds heavier, so if I loosened the belt, you could see I could fit an entire fist in there. So I did lose quite a few pounds, but these pants are a bit baggy, specifically in the thigh area, but nonetheless, it's also very easy to move in. So there are two areas in the pants that you really want to make sure that you nail. Number one is the rise and the seat. The seat is your bottom. You don't want this to be too tight because then it's not going to be easy to sit down or move in. And the rise, you don't want the rise to be too low. The suit isn't designed to have a more classic look. You want it to be more of a mid or a high rise. You don't have to pull it all the way up to your belly button, but you do want to wear this a bit higher than you'd wear a pair of jeans or a more casual pair of pants like chinos. Thighs, like I mentioned, I do have quite a bit of extra room in these thighs, but I wanted the range of motion in them. So they are a bit baggy, but nonetheless, they still look good. I would definitely say don't be scared to size up in the waist. That way you can get more room in the seat, you can get a higher rise, and more room in the thighs. That rhymed by accident. Because if the thighs are too tight, if the seat is too tight, but the waist fits, there's not going to be a lot that they can do. They're not going to be able to let any of that fabric out. However, if you go up one size in the waist, you may find that it's more comfortable and you have more room in the seat and the thighs, and then you could just easily do what I do, like wear a belt, or the tailor can also just take an inch. It's a very cheap alteration. They just have to pull an inch in the waist and then it's going to fit you no problem. Now, the calves. You don't necessarily want them to be, again, super ramrod slim. You do want a bit more of a relaxed fit, or however, I like a bit more of a relaxed fit on the pants. It just makes them flow a bit easier. It makes them drape a bit nicer, since you are going to have that crease down the middle, most likely you are. It's okay to go a little bit bigger as long as you do have some sort of taper. Because you can probably see these pants are actually still a slim appearance, but they actually do feel like they're very big on me. They're very comfortable. I have a lot of range of motion. I can probably do a split in these pants. If I could do a split, I probably could do a split in these pants. But this is something, since this is a classic wool suit, there's no stretch in these pants, I do like having the extra mobility of pants that are a bit looser. And as long as the rise isn't too big, as long as they are not too big around the ankles, you're good. Also, what you're going to want to do, pay attention to the length of the pants. So these are about a quarter break to a no break. The medium break would be, if I pull these down, I can show you what a medium break would be. Medium break would be like that. A full break is like that. My opinion, don't go with a full break just because this starts to look really sloppy. It just looks like the pants are way too big on you. I used to go with the medium break, but I'd rather have a little bit of sock and shoe showing. It just gives you a little bit more options. It doesn't look quite as sloppy. Now I'll post a picture up right here, just a quick diagram, just to show you the difference between a full break, medium break, quarter break, and no break. I would say if you're not sure, go with a medium break or a quarter break. If you're going with no break, you just have to be mindful of the socks and the shoes that you're wearing. But if you're following my videos about socks and shoes, you should have no problem. You should look amazing with a quarter break or no break. So those are my top tips on how to get the perfect fitting suit. I guarantee if you follow these tips, you're going to be looking great and your confidence is going to be through the roof as well. By the way, for anyone wondering, this suit is from Suit Supply. This is their Lazio fit. I also have a Napoli fit from a few years ago. And then my sport jackets, the 3 sport jackets I have right over here, they are the Havana fit from Suit Supply. So Suit Supply is a bit expensive if you're not used to shopping for suits, but if you can afford it, it's like the best value you can get for an awesome fitting suit. So as always, thanks so much for watching. Reminder to consider subscribing if you like the content I'm putting out here, totally free. Definitely check out this video that pops up over here next. I also have a playlist over here. If you like this video, you're gonna like this playlist. So as always, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, night, whenever you're watching this, and I will see you in the next one.